I think you were right by saying it's a separation because I mean we literally shared the same womb space and we had the same umbilical cord. So it really is a biological and very emotional connection as well. So it wasn't easy when we separated. The first separation was in 2015 when I got accepted into the University of Pretoria.
Within the institution, just to develop yourself and also build your network. How has that taught you the importance of planning?
But I had an epiphany and I realized that you need to be very intentional about everything. So I developed a principle of intentionality, and that's something that I apply in everything that I do. So even when I applied for One Day Leader, it wasn't just I'm applying, we see where it takes us. No, I was very thorough with the process. Always do stress the value of resilience and patience. Because in as much as you can be intentional, and as much as you can plan your things, sometimes there's certain events that just throw you a curveball and you're not expecting that you will be a dropout at 18 years and you would have worked hard at school, then all of a sudden the funds are drying out.
So our primary goal is to actually discover those kind of stories, and we know they are inspiring. We know they are stories that the world would like to hear. And at some point, I have a very strong belief that this type of content will inspire somebody out there and actually help them to become the better version of themselves. So today, I'm hoping to find out what are some of the principles, the core principles that you had to apply in the times where life throws you with, I would say, high water, what other people call high water, what other people call hell. But in a nutshell, what I'm saying, it's how did you respond to the adversities that you faced in your life? So I know you are in the space of fitness. I know you are in the space of education and you're doing very well there. But maybe I'll give you a little bit of a moment to just, for someone who doesn't know you, who is Zanele Ruth Madlazi?
Wow. Thank you for the opportunity, Elvis. I always do enjoy these conversations. And for someone who doesn't know me, Ruth Zanele Madlazi is a girl from Soweto, a girl from Soweto with dreams, and someone who's been blessed and fortunate enough to be exposed to opportunities, people, and spaces that have led to a development that I also never ever imagined, but I really do welcome. So I am born and bred in Soweto. I am a twin. I was raised by a single mother, and I went to schools which had very, very excellent teachers who pushed us to do our best. And I guess that's why I have the type of work ethic that I think I have today.
Great stuff. When you mentioned that you have a twin, you actually take me to the question that I thought I was going to ask you along the way. But I think, which time is best to actually ask this question. You grow up. You grow up with your twin sister. You go to school and all that. But as you grow up, now you've got differences. You want to study something else. She wants to study something else, and life forces you to be, in different locations. I'm fascinated about that. It's. I know you might not call it a separation per se, but that distance between your identical twin. How does that have been for you, and how has that affected you in terms of life unfolding?
I think you were right by saying it's a separation because I mean we literally shared the same womb space and we had the same umbilical cord. So it really is a biological and very emotional connection as well. So it wasn't easy when we separated. The first separation was in 2015 when I got accepted into the University of Pretoria. So that's the first type of university experience I had. And it was the first time I was away from home, away from family, away from my twin sister. And it was a very challenging time. I can say that that's when I also discovered that mental health issues are a thing and that there's a lot of things that can trigger those things. So I became a little bit depressed, and she as well was, because we were separated. I was in a new space. She was worried about my well-being and all those types of things. So I can say that being a twin, we always call it a blessing and a curse, because we are very blessed to have shared that connection for so long. But at the same time, it's very difficult to literally just cut the umbilical cord, and figuratively as well, and try and forge our own lives separately. So yeah, it is a tricky situation, but we're trying to make it work.
I mean, I'm thinking to myself, I don't have a twin, I don't have a twin brother, but I have sisters, and these people are very close to my heart. And ever since I came to a space where, specifically a tertiary level, where when I had to spend the most of my days without really being close to to these people, I had to do a lot of stuff, on my own. I had to learn this and that, but I guess it's part of growing up.
It really is.
Even though these people are not my twins, but I will still feel the distance. I will still feel the pain of not being close to them. And I'm now getting into the support system. Being in your own space. How has your support system been without because I believe when you guys grow up, she's the person that you're close to. You can speak to her with a lot of stuff, but now you are away and all that. Now, how is your emotional and psychological support system? And I speak about people who are in your life, relationship wise and friendship somehow.
Yeah. I honestly have to say that I've had to do a lot of maturing and a lot of growing as well, because I did grow up in a space where I was very close with my siblings, close to my mother. She made us literally so close-knit and connected. So it became a bit difficult when I had to forge my own path, stay away from home for long periods of time. I can say that now that I have learned to receive the support of my family away from physical contact with them. So I'm not at home like with them physically, but we do talk quite often. I do travel a lot to see them, and we do make means to always keep in touch, and regardless of distance, but we do make amends and make means to keep in touch. So I can say that it has taken a different direction, the way that we connect and the way that we stay in touch, but we're making sure that it is like that. And as well as we grow, we develop different needs, we develop different types of connections and friendships. So I have made a lot of acquaintances and friends within the university space, within the workspace, people who have been able to not really fill the gap of my family, but who are much more relevant to the context of work and school, that are my support system. And as well, I have been blessed to find a partner romantically who understands the space that I'm in and is able to act as that type of support system when I'm not physically at home.
Fantastic. Zanele, you are a fitness hun, right? You are a fitness person, and you do a lot of stuff in the fitness space. And I know you recently acquired your fitness training, qualification. Tell me about your passion with fitness. Where does it come from? Is it something that you developed along the way as you grew up, or was it something that was instilled in you, back then, even when before you became the person who you are today, or before you grew up to this level?
I can say that I've always been very much health aligned. Like, I've always wanted to be healthy, take care of my skin, take care of my hair, take care of my afro. I've always liked natural hair, like from when I was in grade 10 and so on. And when I got to university in 2015, that's when I really, really started developing an interest for fitness, where I was going to the fields to run with some of my friends. And I was studying psychology at the time. Psychology was one of my modules. So they did say that your psychological well-being depends on a lot of things. But I can say it was just like part of my life. And when it suited me, I would like really be intense with it. But when I didn't have time, I dropped it. But a space that really pushed me into that fitness vibe and like consistency was the lockdown. So when we started with lockdown level 5 in 2020, I just felt like the world is coming to an end, like everyone else did, I assume. A lot of people were panicking. We didn't know what to do. We couldn't go to work couldn't go to school. I was shooting a show at that time, which required like me to be mentally and physically ready. And it came to a stop. And I found myself very kind of like depressed for a day or two until I figured that I have to find things that give me a sense of purpose, even when I can't go to school, even when I'm not shooting the show, even when I'm not working. So I started developing an interest for fitness. I would do like home workout videos. Those who follow me on Instagram will remember I just literally had my towel, I'd put it down there, and I'd do like jumping jacks, very basic workout things. Then I started researching about fitness a bit more, following fitness influencers, watching fitness videos, consuming a lot of fitness content. And it gave me a safe haven, a space where I could really look at myself progressing in certain ways and unleashing physical progress that I had not seen before. So that's what really put me in a space where fitness was all that I worried about, because there literally wasn't anything else to do. And it allowed me to also reach bigger audiences on my social media platforms, because people started being interested in trying to see that change, and they were like, is this you, girl? And I enjoyed seeing those changes as well and sharing the type of knowledge that I was discovering through my own personal fitness journey.
What I'm getting from you is a sense of self-discipline, and I like it. I like it because you are this kind of a person who's actually not waiting, for the external situation to turn out in a way that it's, advantageous or favorable to you. You're not waiting for someone to actually come in your life and give you the opportunity or give you something that will advance your life, but you personally take it upon yourself and to make a difference with your life. And that for me, it's a sign of self-leadership. It's a sign of self-leadership. You deciding that, what, here is a situation, here is a challenge, but I'm going to turn it into an opportunity. And that's for me is a sign of self-leadership. And talking about leadership, one day leader, one day leader, you did well there. We all know you did well, but I want to understand what was the motive behind that, and the process within you deciding that you're going to participate there, but also the experience that you got from there. Obviously I'm talking about post, participation. What are the principles and values that you had learned through that, participation?
Thank you for reminding me of our one day leader.
It's great. You did great. Eh?
Yeah, thank you so much. So my experience with one day leader started actually when I was a supporter of the show from 2011. I remember that when I was in grade 9, that's when the show started, season 1, and it had really, really cool young people in the show, which I looked up to, and I was able to form some bonds and some professional types of acquaintances with some of the participants from those seasons when I was a contestant myself, which I really, really was happy about. So I started watching the show in 2011 when I was in grade 9 because I've been a debater, I've been in these debating streets. So I developed an interest of debating when I was about in grade 7. And when I got to high school, that's when I started seeing very well-formed debating clubs. And I had English teachers who really, really liked debating as well, and debaters, and they groomed us, and I don't remember how I encountered the show, really, I will not lie, but I think it's the advertising, because it's been airing on SABC 1. So there was like a very great advertising of it, and one day leader, and they would like put those inserts, and I was like, I want to see the show. And my mom wasn't against us watching it because she knew those are the types of things I liked. So I started watching the show, and all the seasons I would watch it, and I would find people that I supported, and I would really, really look up to them. Up until in 2019, when one of my friends, whom I had formed a very close acquaintance with at UJ, Webster Morrison, we became friends, and we were part of the same debating union at UJ, and we won a couple of tournaments together as university students, as UJ representatives. And when he applied for one day leader and made it onto the top 6, and I was sort of on the forefront from the first episode. When he was there, I was sort of like hyping it up and making everyone aware that he's there, and we were supporting voting, campaigning. It really was a nice experience. And he encouraged me, he's like, come on, apply for this thing. You know, we were debating partners who made it together as a team. For UJ, I think you can also make it on. He made it very far. He made it to the top 3. So when I got that sort of validation from someone who had been a participant, I took a leap of faith and I applied December 2019. And to my surprise, I got accepted. So when I received an email that said, hey, we received your application, you've made it to the top 30, it was like a very weird moment. And they said, come to the studio, this is what we're going to do. After that top 30, they had said, congratulations, you made it to the top 20, come to the studio. And then there was a lot of suspense because from top 20, they went directly to top 6. And I didn't know whether or not I would make it. It was a very, very hectic weekend after that. And I got the call. I remember it was a phone call this time and they said, come through to the studio, you've made it to the top 6. And my life changed instantly.
Fantastic, okay? I'll tell you what, Zanele, I'll tell you what. There was a time, I think it was around, if I'm not mistaken, 2018 or 2019. I just don't remember. I attempted to apply for the show, right? And you know, but you know, here's an interesting thing, or in fact, this is how it played out, right? So I go online, I see all the requirements and all that. I don't even go through like the entire application and all that. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna do it. And then tomorrow comes, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I procrastinate there and there, you know. And come final day, I think the application was closing around 12 or something, but it had a strict. There was a time that was actually, you know, set to say the application is gonna close at this time. And that's when I actually intended to complete all the application. And as I go through the application, I understand this is not something that I can actually complete in like an hour, you know, but this is as like a very strict criteria, and also stuff that is required from there. It's you need to really you know, do that plan in time. And that for me it was a wake-up call to say, fail to plan to fail, you know. So so it was really a wake-up call for me. But I want to find out from you, because I know you graduated from the University of Johannesburg, but that was not your first tertiary institution that you you know, enrolled in, you know. So but I want to understand, how has the number of years that you spent at the university, and, you know, obviously playing in the academic space, but also playing on other spaces, of course, within the institution, just to develop yourself and also build your network. How has that taught you the importance of planning?
So I've been in these university streets, like you said. I got into tax 2015 and I was 17 there, about to turn 18. And the person that I walked into tax as is not that Zanele that you see today. You know, it's been a character building exercise. I think it's been an experience that has shaped my outlook on life, that has made me gather some principles along the way that have helped me succeed the way that I have so far. So I think when I got to the University of Pretoria, I got a partial bursary and it paid for certain things, or some of the expenses of my university stayed there. And I wasn't aware that I would have to make up some of the rest of the money, some of the costs. And because that was the year Fees Must Fall also started, the universities were very like strict and punitive when it came to students who weren't government funded, that had bursaries that were owing. So if you owed the university money, they literally just excluded you until you could pay the money. And I didn't know at the time that there were procedures such as signing an AOD, making arrangements with the university and all of that. I just thought you have to pay them upfront. If you can't, then it's done for you. And I think that sort of experience really was an eye-opener for me as well, where I had an epiphany and I realized that you need to be very intentional about everything. So I developed a principle of intentionality, and that's something that I apply in everything that I do. So even when I applied for One Day Leader, it wasn't just I'm applying, we'll see where it takes us. No, I was very thorough with the process. I edited the video. Literally, they needed a video about leadership and something like that, which was a minute long. And I think my twin sister got so irritated because she was the one who was behind the camera. And I would say, oh, no, let me start afresh. I wanted it to be crisp. I wanted it to be perfect because I knew that some opportunities, they only come once. You miss that, it will never come back again. So I, from that moment on, knew that when I got another opportunity to get into university, I would have to make it count. I didn't want to walk into it blindly, just, hoping for the best type of situation. I wanted to walk into the situation with a plan. And the plan was to navigate the university in a way that allows me to succeed in terms of education, in terms of the networks that I built. And that's what I've been trying to do for the last 5 years.
Oh my God, Zanele, you inspire me a lot. I don't know if I told you, and I know you and I haven't really met physically. It might be shocking for so many people that I'm now doing a second interview with you. We did our first on Instagram, but now we're doing our second here, and it's going to live obviously on the number one, video platform, which is YouTube. But I'm very fascinated by your story. I'm very fascinated by the events that took place in your life. And primarily, I don't know if I told you this, I'm the only male child from my mother's womb. I've got like 6 sisters, right? So when I see a female person, my mother really did some work there. So so when I see a female doing so good, and also, taking it upon themselves to own the space and give themselves the life they deserve, like doing it by themselves, and also being intentional. You stress a lot of need, in the word intentionality. That for me really fascinates me a lot, Zanele. But I want to find out, from you, because, life is not always smooth. Life is not always, the way we want it to be. And it sometimes pushes us to the point where we feel a little bit in fact, not even a little bit, we feel so overwhelmed, especially if you are a person like you, chasing a dream, chasing a goal, chasing a vision. You come to a point where it seems like it's not working. You've tried out, you did a lot of stuff. Have you ever came across that moment where you were like, maybe I should try something else? How was that moment?
Absolutely. So when I give motivational talks and when I have opportunities to speak to people about life, that's literally what I say. Uguti, you might look at a person from face value and think, this one has it all together, probably, and assume their background, and assume how they got to certain spaces. But I always do stress the value of resilience and patience. Because in as much as you can be intentional, in as much as you can plan your things, sometimes there's certain events that just throw you a curveball and you're not expecting that you will be a dropout at 18 years and, you would have worked hard at school, then all of a sudden funds are drying out. So I think the one time where things were really, really dark and I didn't know what to do, who to turn to, and I didn't know whether or not things would be better, was in 2016. So I completed 1 year at the University of Pretoria. That was 2015. Then 2016, I found myself outside of the university space. And all of a sudden, life was really, really staring me in the face. And I wasn't in the protection of school. I wasn't in the protection of university. I was just someone who was waking up in the township, and I had gone to school and I had passed well. So everyone was asking themselves, Guti, how did it happen? And I also started losing hope a little bit. And I worked at Checkers. So that was my very first professional experience, being on a payroll somewhere. I was an employee at Checkers. And when I got into that space initially, I had that attitude of, I don't belong here. I'm just going to be here 2 months tops, and then leave and then gather the money to pay off the debt and I'll be out of here. And it didn't work out like that. I stayed there for 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I wasn't even a cashier. Like I was literally packing the shelves. So it was a really humbling experience, and I got to learn that you need to be patient, you need to be humble, and you need to make the best of whatever opportunity you have at the time. Because even though it was a job that I really didn't dream of myself doing, it was a job nonetheless. I was able to put food on the table, and I was able to go to interviews and explore other options, because at least at the end of the month I was getting some money. So at Checkers I was working 3 days a week, and out of the other days I was private tutoring. So I was trying to just teach accounting. I started volunteering as well, at my old high school, teaching people accounting, economics, and I encountered people who were willing to pay for it. So that's how I would make up some of the time. So it was a space where really tested my character and built it as well, where I was very humble, trusting the process and understanding that I don't want to be here, but I am here for now. So I have to do my best as well and apply myself, put my head down and believe that it will get better. And as well, I'm a very spiritual person. So I believed that God wanted to teach me something, show me something. And I did learn a number of lessons there. So I'm grateful for the experience.
Interesting. I mean, I can imagine you being there, you working at Checkers, and you got a job that
very tiny at the time, very tiny, and I had to make sure that even 12.5 kg of flour, because I worked for a company that was responsible for Sasco, I think Elvis, and bread and all of those things. So those are products that and my mom would be so sad and be like, "Oh no," and I was like, "No, it's fine."
And you carried all that by yourself.
I did. And God was like, "Listen, I'll send an angel. They will help you. It won't be that heavy."
So interesting and so inspiring. Hey, but Zanele, before I let you go, I mean, there's a number of unfolding parts of your life, and I think they are very inspiring. One is that you just bought yourself a car, of course, and congratulations on that. I saw a lot of people on social media, saying congratulations, Zanele, and I think it's very inspiring to see people, really being happy for you, when you move from one stage to another in life. But the point that I want to touch in just before I let you go, and I think I wouldn't be doing justice if I don't touch this point, is there's a new show that is, I think it's produced by the University of Johannesburg, if I'm not mistaken. And we've seen Zanele leading this show, and we're wondering what is happening. Can you take us through that, just as a wrap up to this interview?
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for the car as well. Very, very happy. It was an overwhelming feeling when everyone was like, well done, well done. And I think it's mostly people who know me from home, who know my struggle, and they're like, wow, you were able to bounce back and do all that. So I'm very, very, very grateful. In terms of the show, when I was on One Day Leader, I ended up, I was eliminated number 2. So one of my other friends got the first elimination, and I saw mine coming, and I was the second one to be eliminated. So when I got the elimination, I wasn't happy about it. I felt like, oh my God, I didn't get as far as I wanted in this competition. But I think one thing that the show did do for me is introduce me to a place of television and working around cameras. And I closely observed the hostess, Pearl Shongwe, who did an excellent job. And she really was also playing a mentorship role there, where she said to me, sometimes God puts you in positions where you might think, oh no, I'm here to win the 150K or whatever. Can't you're there to learn something else. So I think what the show did for me, already I was a speaker. I got into the show as a debater, but maybe that's not something I must do professionally. Maybe I must be a presenter, a host, and those are things that I'm very, very open to doing, and I've been doing like informally. So getting like that kind of reassurance, and the University of Johannesburg approaching me and saying, we've seen some of the work that you do, are you able to host the show for us? It felt like a reassurance and a reminder that I went to One Day Leader as a debater, but I came out.
It's what my mentor calls the aha moment, when you are finally connecting the dots and all of them really connect. It's that aha moment. And you know, I'm so excited for you, Zanele. When I was watching that, you know, I was like, wow, this lady is doing this is too much, man. This is too much.
Yeah, it's a lot, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'd like to thank you for really, you know, forming part of this interview. You know, the hard philosophy is really about, you know, tapping into these conversations, but diving deep to really understand, you know, how some of the stories and some of the events in, you know, people like you unfolded, you know, because a lot of people, they see the final product, but they don't really know that, you know, you were once, you know, working at Checkers, you were once carrying a heavy load, you know, and,
It
you know,
was a lot, yeah.
Today they say, congratulations, you're on the show. Congratulations, you just bought your car. Congratulations, you just, you know, got your qualification in fitness and all that, but they don't know the work that had to go in there. So that's the main purpose of the show. And I would really love to thank you for really agreeing to this interview. Thank you very much, Zanele.
Thank you for the opportunity, Elvis. I'm beyond words. And, you know, hearing myself talk about these things and reflect on them really reminds me as well that I've come very, very far. And I do hope that some people who are at home, who are unemployed maybe, or who are hopeless, who had to leave university, can just learn that it does get better. It just needs you to be very strong-willed and very strong-minded and patient. Yeah. And things will happen that you never expected that they ever can.
No, I love this. I mean, if people want to connect with you, how can they reach you?
I am on all the social media networks, but I think the one that I really, really check quite often is Instagram. So on Instagram, I know _Madlazi. Yeah. So that's the one. And on Facebook, I am Ruth Zanele Madlazi. Twitter, Zanele Madlazi. I think if they find me on Instagram, they can find all the other platforms.
Great stuff. It was lovely having you on the show, Zanele. Until next time, and I hope this is not the last time I speak to you. Eventually, you know, on the next episode, we'll be celebrating another milestone. That's an affirmation, of course. Thank you very much. Have a lovely, lovely evening.
Same to you. Thank you. Bye.